G'day, Starlo here, squid fishing. It's so much fun and it produces delicious meals and fantastic bait. But what if I was to tell you that there are a couple of simple tricks that you can apply to your squid fishing that will dramatically improve your chances of success? Stick with me and I'll share them with you. The first is to choose the right equipment, and that starts with squid jigs. Modern, sophisticated prawn-style squid jigs absolutely revolutionised squidding when they first hit our shores years ago, and they've only become better each season. State-of-the-art jigs like the latest Shimano Cephias are deadly tools. You'll catch squid on these simply attached to a hand line, but you'll do much better by using well-balanced, light to medium spinning tackle. 6.5 to 7.5 foot rods, 1,000 to 5,000 size reels, and fine braid or mono lines. This sort of gear allows you to easily cast long distances, and covering plenty of water can be a big plus when you're squidding. The ability to fire out repeated long casts is a bonus, and it's been made even easier by the incorporation of weight transfer systems into jigs like the Cephias. But you also need to be casting in the right places, which brings us to tip number 2, choosing the best locations. As a general rule, calamari squid prefer to hunt in 1 to 10 or 20 metres of water over bottom strata that consists of broken reef, kelp and seagrass beds, gravel and sand patches. In good light and shallow, clear water, you'll be able to identify this strata visually. Otherwise, you might need to use your depth sounder or even a handy tool like this marine bathoscope viewer. Whatever the case, look for broken structure and particularly for defined edges or transitions between one type of bottom strata and another. These are hotspots. Don't rule out man-made structure either. Channel markers, navigation buoys, moored boats, they're all happy hunting grounds for squid. Cast close to the structure and work your jigs back out into open water at various depths. Islands, pinnacles, reefs and bommies also hold squid, and of course the obvious presence of bait fish is a real plus. That's what squid eat, so look for the bait. Keep working these areas and you will hook squid. Then it's simply a matter of staying calm, keeping the pressure on and leading them to the landing net. Oh, and letting them get rid of as much of that ink as possible before landing them. Like I said, don't be in too much of a hurry, but stay tight all the time. This is where that nice light rod really comes into its own. Even once the squid's in the net, don't be afraid to hold it there in the water for a bit longer to let it get rid of some more of that sticky black ink. You do not want that all over you or the boat.
Mine's bigger.
Yeah, definitely. Jo loves her squid fishing and she's very good at it too. She regularly catches more and bigger squid than me.
Check this fella out.
Ooh, that's a cracker. Note how she stows the freshly caught calamari in a bucket with some seawater in it and then gets straight back into her squidding. Strike while the iron's hot. Where you find one squid, you're almost sure to find more. But you'll need to work your jigs correctly to catch them consistently. The best action can vary from place to place, day to day, and even from hour to hour. My advice is to start out slow. Let your jig sink well down in the water column and retrieve it quite slowly with lots of lifts and drops and sweeps and jigs of the rod and regular pauses. But don't be afraid to mix it up a bit and try variations. Faster winding and more aggressive rod work will sometimes do the trick. You really need to experiment to find out what they want and to turn those followers into eaters. Got him! Once you feel that distinctive pulsing pull of a squid, it's really important to keep a tight line and maintain steady pressure. You really don't need to pump and wind, but if you do, keep a bend in the rod at all times. Remember, squid jigs don't have barbs.
I got taken right there. I was watching it, thinking, is that black spot something chasing me? Sure was.
Be ready for takes anywhere in the retrieve, all the way to the rod tip. Note how Jo keeps a tight line and a bent rod. She also understands how squid jet propel themselves hood first, which is really important for getting the net behind them in the right spot. Another one safely boated. Nice work. That Cephia jig's certainly doing its job. Calamari squid often hang around in groups, sometimes referred to as squads. For this reason, it makes sense to get your jigs back in the water as quickly as possible after landing one. And sure enough, Jo's on again. The other thing to be aware of is the very real possibility of hooking more than one squid at a time if you're fishing with mates. For this reason, we often net our own squid so that the other person can keep fishing. And sure enough, I've just pinned a second cephalopod.
That look hard.
Just net mine as well.
Hey, good work.
Jo doesn't even lift her squid out of the net. Instead, she simply nets mine as well.
Just get rid of your inky stuff, buddy. Not at me.
Yep.
Don't aim it at me.
2 for the price of 1.
Nice.
This is the best way to hold them, keeping their jet nozzle pointed away from yourself and the boat. They'll stay alive in a circulating live well for quite a while too. We're getting quite a good catch together. Sometimes after you've landed a couple of squid in fairly quick succession, the bite will simply stop. It's easy to assume that there aren't any more squid left in the area, but often this is an incorrect assumption. They may well still be there, but simply not committing to grabbing the jig. My last 2 tips are both techniques for restarting the bite and catching a couple more when it all seems to be over. Firstly, try adding some scent attractant or bite stimulant to your squid jig. Naturally enough, I swear by Squidgy's S Factor, but other ones work too. It's amazing how often you'll pin another squid within a cast or two of applying the scent. It definitely works, and some days it makes a big difference. Try it. And that brings me to my final squid secret. A relatively small detail that can make a huge difference to your catches over the longer run. And it's simply this. If you stop catching squid on one size or colour of squid jig, change to a completely different pattern. A different colour, size, weight, or even change all 3 factors. You'll be amazed how often this simple change-up will quickly produce another squid or 2. And then, when the bite slows once more, just change again. I honestly can't tell you how many times this change-up trick has turned my squidding fortunes around. I hope it and my other tips work for you too. Whether you chase them for the magnificent seafood meals that they can produce, or you're more interested in gathering a supply of one of the best baits in the ocean, squidding is heaps of fun and very rewarding. It's not particularly hard either, especially if you use the right gear and follow the 7 tips I've just shared with you. By the way, if you've enjoyed this one, please give me a thumbs up down below, and if you don't subscribe to the channel already, make sure that you do. Until next time, this is Starlo wishing you tight lines and happy squidding.